Hello everyone, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today we are covering Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition, should you back it, should you not. And in today's video, as usual, I'll be going through the campaign, covering the overviews, what we have, all that stuff, should you back it, all of that. And this is a video that I was originally going to do yesterday. I wanted to have a day one video, cover the campaign. I thought it would be a no-brainer. But it's not a no-brainer, or at least it wasn't. It is one that I had to wait until today's update, at which point I was like, well, now I can actually confidently jump into the video and tell you what I believe about the campaign, about should you back it or not. As much as I like to come to the table early with information, I also need to know that I can talk with confidence about the value on the table, about the campaign. And I will be going into everything else, of course. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, this is Robinson Crusoe. We have 4,920 backers, 576,000 euro raised, and this is day 2. We have 19 days left, and this is Robinson Crusoe, the 56th highest rated game on Board Game Geek, a 7.8. This thing dropped in 2012. It dropped in 2012, and still manages to bring in 576,000 euros within 2 days, less than 2 days. That's because this game was, I remember, I just joined the hobby in 2012, and this game was beyond hot. Everyone wanted a copy of this game. Everyone wanted to get this game in their collection. That was back when they had the original rectangle box, which over the years got shifted to the square box with updated rules. And those updated rules, sadly, were not enough. This is a game that is still critiqued for the degree of complexity it takes to dive in, forgetting for a second the difficulty, forgetting for a second the quote from Tom Vassell on this page: deep story, almost infinite replayability, lots of fun, and you're gonna die. And that's because this game is hard, and we'll touch upon that as well, but this is a challenging game, one that you need to survive. This is a game you can play solo. It's a game, let's take a look at the breakdown, Board Game Geek. It's a game you can play solo, 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. Honestly, looking at this breakdown, it looks like 4 players has a bit of a drop-off and not recommended, but overall the other player counts all look very solid. By the way, if you are not using this recommended player count tool on Board Game Geek, you are missing out. Sure, the box says 1 to 4 players, but every game is going to be different. What the box says you can do versus what you should do are very different conversations, and this will give you a breakdown of what it's best with, what it's recommended with, and what I pay most attention to: where does the game struggle? Where is the game not the right fit for other people? And 4 players sees the biggest drop-off with Robinson Crusoe. But this is going to be a survival experience, a cooperative survival experience with multiple scenarios, multiple expansions, and this is bringing you the Deluxe Collector's Edition with a variety of different things to make this one more interesting, to appeal to you. And this is a campaign that, in addition to the fact that I wanted to drop a video day 1 but decided not to because of lack of information, this is also a campaign that I had no interest in. Genuinely, I had no interest. I was not backing Robinson Crusoe. I've had the base game. I got rid of it. I never played it. I never got to the table, and I want to play it. Every game in the top 100 is a game that I eventually want to play, if nothing else, to just feel like I rounded out my experiences. And yet, I have a sneaking suspicion that I will, at the end of the day, be backing this campaign after all. And no, it has absolutely nothing to do with the miniatures. It has nothing to do with the stretch goals or anything else. We'll get into why I believe I will be backing this campaign, and why I believe, despite my lack of interest in a Robinson Crusoe deluxified edition for a game that I got rid of, I think I'm going to be getting this one back. And so let's go through it. Let's go through the campaign and the typical game found. We have all these nice things on the sidebar over here, as well as the fact that I can now secretly hide my face if I need to see all of these. Fun little tips and tricks of using OBS as my new platform on the sidebar, all of that. I can also go full screen. Now I'm just playing around. Now it's all a toy. Ignore me. Anyways, so deep story, infinite replayability. Richard Rado, really great and clever thematic gameplay. Joel Eddy, it's like a storybook unfolding for you in a lot of ways. This is a game that has a ton of content creation on the page. None of it related to Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition, but rather all of it related to Robinson Crusoe. This is a vetted game. This is a game that has been out. If you don't know if this game is for you, there are any number of resources telling you whether it's for you, and if you still don't think it's for you, like I didn't, then there may still be enough on this page to convince you. And so we're going to have the stretch goals over here, and this is going to be the key part, the key aspect of why I didn't cover this yesterday. So let's head on to the FAQ before we talk about the stretch goals. But the FAQ covers a bunch of questions, including, a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to go through all of these. But will the stretch goals be available in retail in the future? No, stretch goals are never going to be available in retail. They might have some small amounts available at our booth doing board game conventions or at our official store. The collector's edition of the Book of Adventures, will they be available in retail? What will be the differences? Yes, we plan to release them in retail. But without the stretch goals from this campaign, we've prepared a big list of stretch goals to be unlocked daily, which will essentially double the real value from the game and the expansion. Now, this is something that they didn't officially confirm. This was not originally an FAQ. They didn't have it clarified as to you, were the stretch goals, stretching the game for everyone? This is a common thing in Kickstarter, the idea that we raise more money, we have daily reveals, but ultimately those daily reveals aren't a difference between the Kickstarter copy and the retail copy. They're just slowly showing you more content for the game, which is not a problem, but it certainly does give you a lack of a reason, a lack of a motivation to get the game on Kickstarter compared to the cheaper retail version. And this game will be available for cheaper in retail, I guarantee it. But in this case, they confirmed on day 2 that the stretch goals here are indeed going to be exclusive. They're going to be either Kickstarter only or conventions and retail and their online store. They are not going to be the retail edition, and the total value of the stretch goals are coming in at €115. Now, obviously, this is their own perception of value, so take that with a grain of salt. But your €115 pledge is going to be getting you more than €115 worth of content that will not otherwise be available for other people, or if you want to get this game later. And this is where I'll take a bit of a tangent before we dive into the game, but I'll just give you a bit of a spoiler, so to speak. But if you have a ton of extra content, exclusive content for a game this highly rated, content that will not be available down the road, then it's almost certainly going to hold its value. I can say that without seeing more of what they unlock. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're talking about exclusive, hard-to-get content, which will almost certainly make your backing of Robinson Crusoe a good back, but I'll get into this more when I cover the pledge levels of different games, because I do not actually recommend going all in on this one. Well, I don't recommend as a stretch. We'll come back to that. So, let's cover what we have already. They're going to be alternating every single day. Effectively, there's a few pledge levels over here. There's a few sets of new content. We have the Everything New pledge. We have the Big Book of Adventures and the Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition pledge. There's more pledges, but let's focus on these first. So the Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition pledge is, well, it's exactly that. It's going to be giving the Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition along with the miniatures, 2 minis for every single sculpt. So there are 16 or 18 sculpts, whatever it is, represent effectively 9 different miniatures. Here we go. 18 stunning sculpts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. More will be unlocked as stretch goals. They have teased, hinted, or whatnot. We're going to be given the big box, which unfortunately will not hold all of the content for all of the expansions. This will hold the content for everything new in this Kickstarter, the base game, all of that, the miniatures. It will not hold stuff for Mystery Tales or the Treasure Chest or any future expansions for the game. So factor that into your decision as to, I need the big box, which is only partially a big box. It's going to be giving you the open end play tutorial. Now this right here is the first of a few reasons why I am actually interested in the game. The open end play tutorial, think Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, think that idea of they give you that story, not the story, they give you the rules step by step with different tutorials unlocking. I mean, look at this. There are literally 4 different places to put tiles here. This is literally a guided tutorial to teach you the game. Robinson Crusoe I got rid of, or I never really played. I got rid of it and never played it for 2 primary reasons. The first is going to be that breaking your teeth on those rules was a real problem. I read a lot of rule books and I just couldn't build up the motivation to ultimately get Robinson Crusoe played. I kept trying, I kept reading the rules, and I wasn't motivated enough, and I'll tell you why I wasn't motivated enough. That's going to be reason 2. Combined with my lack of motivation with the rules that were not easy to comprehend, and this learn to play tutorial thing, when I saw this on the campaign, more than any miniatures, more than that ridiculous miniature fort that looks amazingly cool, don't get me wrong, the open end play tutorial is the first of 2 reasons why I am incredibly interested in likely backing Robinson Crusoe. You're going to have the optional companion app, which gets access to over 300 brand new event and adventure cards. This is just kind of extra stuff that won't be physical necessary, and it's whatever, but you have access to more content. We have the 11 island tiles. At this point, we're starting to branch into just the general content of the original base game, and then of course the miniatures, which will not be in their content. I mean, these miniatures look like very standard Awakened Realms. This is obviously a partnership with Awakened Realms in multiple degrees, but these miniatures very much look like Awakened Realms type sculpts in a good way. I do not mean that critically. I mean, these look amazing. I'm looking forward to getting those sculpts for each of those. Over 250 cards of different types, and then the dice and the tokens and all of that for the game, and I am very curious what will be unlocking throughout the course of this campaign. Then we have the Big Book of Adventures pledge. And this is where we get to the second reason why I am almost certainly backing this campaign. For €30, you're going to get a big book of adventures with 50 different scenarios. Find the perfect scenario for you that are all going to vary differently in a variety of ways, from the genre, from the theme of the scenario, from the difficulty. This is key. The easy, medium, hardcore, the length, short, long, or painful, the target audience, kids, for everyone, adult or oriented. There's 50 epic scenarios with more being unlocked as stretch goals that are designed to cater this game towards whoever you want to be playing it with or as, because the second reason I had very little interest in Robinson Crusoe is, past the high rating and the infinite number of people who talk well about it, I just don't love games that you win 10% of the time. And from everything I've heard about Robinson Crusoe, it seems like it might be a game you only win 10% of the time. I guess the Mind being a notable exception, but I barely consider that a game. But in any case, I like winning. I don't mind losing. I don't mind a cooperative game where I only win 30-40% of the time, but I want to win 30-40% of the time, not some tiny minutia. Now, it could be I've overheard different, exaggerated amounts of whatever. I don't know. But ultimately, a game that focuses on how hard it is and how much you will die is not a game that pulled me in. So you combine an accessible way to learn the game combined with the ability to choose different scenarios, easy, medium, or hard, short, long, painful, and the target audience and the theme are not nearly as much of a draw for me. But just those two combinations means I'm walking into a variety of different ways to play this game that are more suited, more catered to how I want to experience it. And perhaps I will find myself yearning the harder scenarios where I die half the time, and great, then I can level up. But the big book of adventures combined with the learn to play things are the reason I am actually interested in this game and not the miniatures. And I'm sure there'll be like 4 people who are like, yeah, Alex, keep telling yourself that. You just want the miniatures. I mean, the miniatures are not bad. They are cool, but I have lots of miniatures. I do want this game to be actually accessible. And so with those two being the focus, and then combining that $30 and $85 into your $115 pledge level, effectively they're going to be giving you stretch goals or daily reveals every other day of the campaign. And they're going to be alternating which one it's for. And of course, if you're getting both, then you'll get both. So every other day, there's going to be one for the collector's edition, and then every other day there's going to be one for the Big Book of Adventures. And going back up here, the first two we have are going to be the modular camp module. This modular camp of more miniature stuff, more cool looking things that you can build slowly but surely and develop into the camp that you want. And then day 2 is going to be a competitive scenario where you're going to divide into teams for the best school of martial arts. Now again, 19 days left, which means 19 days worth of more content for these games, more content that is supposedly going to be adding to the value of the pledge all the way up to €115. Now factor in that they basically decide what that value means. For all we know, this plastic camp model alone is a €30 value in there, and then this day 2 competitive scenario is a €10 value. We don't know how they're divvying it up. But I don't think it matters that much. Like I said already, when you have a game that is this well loved, that is this well rated, and you give it exclusive content, even if it's not to the level or degree or extent that we want, it is almost certainly going to hold its value. And so with that, let's go to the other pledge levels as well. We have the Castaway Veteran Pledge, which is giving you the new content. If you just want the Big Book Adventures and you just want the Collector's Edition extras, but not the actual core game because you already have the core game, the Castaway Veteran Pledge is going to be the pledge level for you. Then we have the Endless Adventures Pledge. And by the way, just to give you a heads up, this is not actually any special deal over here. This is 30 plus 55, which are the 2 individual things as add-ons alone. Then we have the Endless Adventure Pledge for €165. Now this one is giving you a deal, sort of. What I mean by that is for €165, you are getting the Mystery Tales and the Robinson Crusoe extra treasure chest box added onto your pledge. Effectively, you're spending an extra €50 to get those 2, and if you got them separately in this campaign, they would cost more than that. If you look down here, it would be 45 plus €36, and they're giving it to you for a mere €50 extra, so that's a deal in a sense. But this is the part to pay attention to, because I do not necessarily recommend this pledge unless you are a die-hard certain that you want this content, because if you look at the prices here, so again, look at that €115 to €165, effectively a €50 jump to get the Mystery Tales and Treasure Chest. And if you look at pricing online for $28.99, $35.99, effectively roughly $60, $65 or so to get these 2 when they are available. They are currently between print runs, so factor that into your decision, but these would be roughly $65. Over here, they're going to be roughly €50, but they're also going to add to the shipping of your pledge. They're going to add another €7 or so to the shipping of your pledge, which means you're effectively paying roughly €70 to get it now, and roughly $70 to get it now, and roughly $65 to get them in retail later when they are available. So it's not a big difference in price, and they're available now, and they may be out of print later, but I would say unless you are certain you need or want that additional content, just wait and pick it up later. There's no real incentive to get it now, past the fear of being out of print. So I would say for anyone who is not a die-hard Robinson Crusoe fan, for someone who's not certain they want all the content, then I would skip on the Endless Adventure Pledge. I myself will almost certainly not be getting that. I will likely be getting the Everything New Pledge, because I believe this is where the real value will be. It gives me the Big Book of Adventures, which I think is essential for what it will hopefully fix for Robinson Crusoe for me. Again, I say fix having not played the game, so understand that my criticism is not a criticism so much an assumption of what I think the game would be like. And then we have the collector's edition pledge, which would give you the cheapest way into not the cheapest way, which would give you a way into Robinson Crusoe that gives you that new content, gives you that learn to play guide, and all of that. So let's cover the should you back it aspect or not, which we've really been hinting on to a large degree here. But overall, I would say if your goal is to get into Robinson Crusoe at the cheapest possible price point, just head to your local online wherever. I mean, $46, you can find it cheaper than this if you're willing to buy it used. If you're willing to go to Board Game Geek Marketplace, eBay, whatever it is, you can find it cheaper. If you're willing to wait for a deal, you'll find it for $35 on Amazon here or there. This is a game that you will be able to pick up for much cheaper than what you're seeing here on the Kickstarter. You will not have the deluxified extras. You will not have that learn to play guide. You will not have that deluxified box and extras. You will be missing out on a lot of things, but it'll still be a great game at a great price. And so if your goal is economy above all, I would focus on just getting the regular Robinson Crusoe. You do not need in on this Kickstarter. If, on the other hand, your goal is to get the new stuff here, but you still want to save some money, then perhaps just jump into this in later down the road when it hits retail. You don't need all those extra stretch goals. You don't need that for it. You'll get the Learn to Play guide. That €85 game is likely going to be cheaper. Not likely, guaranteed to be cheaper, especially once you factor in shipping. It'll be much cheaper down the road when you just wait for it to show up in retail. And both the Book of Adventures and the Collector's Edition Pledge are going to show up at retail, so that's not a problem at all. So I would recommend waiting for retail there. But if your goal is to get as much as possible at a reasonable price point, and does it hold its value, will it hold its value, at that point I do recommend just jumping in at this pledge level. The Everything New pledge will give you a lot of content for your game. It will be more expensive. I guarantee it'll be more expensive. Keep in mind, €115 plus the shipping. You're looking at roughly $150 to get in on this game, and you absolutely do not need to spend that much money. But you'll be getting the base game. You'll be getting the big box collector's edition. You'll be getting the big book of adventures. You'll be getting a supposed €115 worth of stretch goals. It will be more than enough value to justify what you're paying, but may not be enough value compared to the fact that you can just choose to spend $35, $40, bite your teeth, and make your way through that rulebook and play the game. And keep in mind, it's managed to be the number 56 game on Board Game Geek, 7.8. Despite all the other things going on, you do not need any of this stuff. It's just nice, shiny, and pretty. Past that, let's cover a few more things. First of all, everything I said about shipping and mathematical, whatever, obviously localize it to your own zone. Localize it to where the game is cheaper for you or not, what the price point would be, what your options for retail are, all of that. Past that, let's go into the Mystery Tales. The Mystery Tales is going to be giving you, well, first of all, it's going to be giving you Nightmare Mode for, I think it's a horror mode. Horror mode for the game that you can introduce to all the different aspects of the game. You can introduce that aspect to every other scenario. It's going to be giving you 5 new scenarios, new components, new character boards, new double-sided tiles, 260 new cards. That's what you're going to be getting in the Mystery Tales expansion. The treasure chest is basically going to be a collection of all the various, I don't know if it's all, but a lot of the complete set, it says complete set of Robinson Crusoe promos and mini expansions. So that sure sounds like all, including the Gamer and the Sailor, which I assume we're going to see as miniatures throughout the game. I question whether those miniatures are going to be tied behind specific pledge levels. That would be interesting and may well change my opinion of that 165 or 100 and whatever it was, 65, I think it was, €165 pledge level. So we'll see how that plays out over there. Plus that, over 90 cards, tons of promos, tons of contents, markers, tokens, volcanoes, cardboard, skyglass, all these different things are available in that treasure chest over there. Past that, we have a near-free playmat, we have some horror dice, some painted resin tokens that I'm not personally pulled in by, the spyglass token, and then a whole bunch of sleeves for different options for the game. As far as shipping is going to be, let's see if you can find the shipping chart. Let's use this handy dandy sheet over here. Shipping is going to be varying all over the place. Just look at this chart over here, see what, which pledge level you're interested in, what region you're in, and how much you're paying. You could be paying as much as 82 to 88 euros. This whole chart is in euros. Factor that into your decision. That could be a lot of money. You have to factor that internationally as well. And past that, down here, we see over here, rewards will be delivered without additional custom fees to Europe, USA, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. They're still confirming UK-friendly shipping. So again, in terms of VAT, customs-free, all of that, pay attention, take a look at the updates or the FAQ to see what updates as the campaign updates. But that is overall Robinson Crusoe and Mystery Tales and Collector's Edition and all of that. And that's basically it. A game that I did not expect to be pulled in by, a game that until they announced on day 2, let's go to the updates, until they announced on day 2 that indeed all these stretch goals are going to be exclusive, we have a brief update. Stretch goals. This one's big. We're restructuring the campaign. Collector's Edition of the game is coming with all the extra components, hero miniatures, extra open play. They'll all be unlocked campaign. All the stretch goals will not be part of a retail release. It was this update and the addition to the FAQ and the clarifications that have me willing to release this video, because as soon as they announced and confirmed that there was exclusive content for this game, I'm not worried about it holding its value. And that means I can dive back in guilt-free. I can dive back in knowing that it may well still be a game that's not for me. Keep in mind, I never played the original. I'm just intrigued and didn't actually get it to the table. And then that's basically it. That's going to be Robinson Crusoe, Mystery Tales, a collector's edition, everything else. And until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.